Hi, I'm Brent Watters, Head of Marketing for IMSS, and today I have the privilege of interviewing the founder and CEO, Patricia O'Donnell. While it's important to understand a company's products and services, we also believe that it's just as important to learn about a company's vision and how it was executed from the start to achieve its objectives. So that's why we thought it would be important to take some time to hear directly from the visionary behind IMSS and Data-Centrix, which is created to help asset managers simplify the database reporting process and act as a support and extension of staff so they can focus on what they do best, and that's raising assets. So with that, I'd like to introduce Patricia and good morning.
Good morning. Bright and early.
That's
Good. It's Friday. Been a busy
right.
week, so.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's just dive right in. We want to kind of get as much in as possible and really learn the story, your story, and kind of how IMSS came to be. So, with that, when and how did you get started in the financial industry?
So I started in the industry in 1996. It was kind of funny how it happened. I fell into it. I was working full time in a division office as an office manager, and I also worked part time in a bar/restaurant. And I had clients that came in 2 to 3 days a week, and every time they came in, it didn't matter what day it was. I was always there, so I was always picking up extra shifts and whatnot. And fast forward about a year and a half, and they were looking for sort of an office administrator for a small and growing company. And I got along great with them. And his wife was the reason I got hired. Recognized, my hard work ethic and thought my personality would really fit with the office. And after talking about kind of what I'd been doing, with the company I'd worked at, just turned out that I was a really good fit for what they needed. So I started there in June of 1996.
In '96, okay. And then I guess starting out as an administrative assistant, and that was at that time. What initially attracted you to the industry, despite not being really part of your original plan?
Well, one of the things I really liked about, excuse me, the job itself was that it was really diversified to begin with. Like I was sort of the IT person, I was an admin, I was a marketing support person, helped set up the email when that came to be a thing, our networks. So I enjoyed the diversity of it. It kept the job fun. And as I got into it and started learning about what these investment firms did and the investment industry and how diverse it was, I became extremely intrigued. Now, I wasn't a numbers person per se, a math person in school, but I
Right.
got this, right? I got the finance piece of it, which was a little surprising to me. And the more I was learning and the diversity of what they did and what the managers did was just very intriguing to me.
So you really had that kind of firsthand view of everything, the processes, what was occurring in that back office.
Right. Very hands-on learning.
Okay, and as you kind of went through that process, um, I guess what challenges did you face in those early stages of your career, and how did you overcome them to kind of where you are today? I mean, how did that help you as you started to learn what was going on, and then started to have kind of a thought about maybe there's something here?
So the only challenge I really faced, and this came a couple of years after year one, it was, posed to me, what do you see yourself doing? And so I
Right.
wanted to be writing RFPs, DDQs, I was doing consultant databases, building pitch books, all of that. To me, that was just an additional learning opportunity, a deeper learning opportunity of what these managers do, as well as learning about the industry. And I was very intrigued about that. I love hands-on learning. The biggest challenge I faced a couple of years out was not having a college degree. Graduating high school, college was not an option for me at the time due to, family dynamics and whatnot. Hence why I was
Sure.
working two jobs, trying to save to hopefully go back to college or start. I had taken a couple of classes. And so the biggest hurdle I faced was that, it was posed to me that the biggest disappointment somebody had me was that I didn't have a college degree. And my feeling to that was, I don't I don't necessarily feel like you have to have a degree to succeed in life.
Yeah, it seems a very standard model. A lot of self learners are actually heads of companies and drive. They're quite innovative, and it's just how people take in information, how they learn, and then how they apply that. So everything.
Exactly. I'm not a book learner that I can sit in a classroom and read a book and whatnot. When I am researching things, and I was researching about these managers and the industry, that's how I was learning, and I became very immersed in it. So that was just my learning style.
Sure, and plus you're having conversations, right, with different across the board, from again from that back office administrative all the way up to leadership, and seeing kind of how the thought process, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And I guess, after about 2 decades, if you will, in the financial industry, I guess what's kept you motivated or intrigued throughout this journey?
So, in what way do you like throughout this journey? What intrigued me in what way from 2 decades?
In terms of kind of evolving it to saying, I see an opportunity here, but more so, I see with that opportunity, it's really about I see a challenge here. I see a problem that needs to be solved, and I think there's a way to do things better than the way I'm seeing it now. And so, it's one thing from ideation to actually innovate and then to execute and actually build. That takes a lot of discipline, some
Right.
focus, and
To founding IMSS.
exactly.
So the first company I'd worked for, I was at for 12 years, and I've been doing DDQs and RPs and databases for almost all of that time. And the owner retired. I left with the two sales guys. We had started another third-party marketing firm. I was doing the same thing, except I was heading up all the database side of it. And fast forward another almost 12 years, they retired. And while I was there, had discussions with one of my partners about, there is something in this industry, this segment of the market for database work solely in itself. It is a big challenge that managers have, not only in collecting the data in a very constructive manner in which they can use it to report out, but understanding the databases and what those mean to search activities and raising AUM. And so it was sort of this niche market of taking this, 20 something years of expertise of working in these databases and understanding the challenges on the managers, and also understanding how they were missing out on these opportunities. And so I decided I was going to found IMSS with a sole focus on consultant database management. And it's not just about the data reporting, it's about all encompassing, right? End to end. It's not, it's the GIPS things that they report, all the legal documents, making sure all the dates and everything align. The data is consistent. It's a complete profile. It's up to date. It's all of those moving parts as if they hired me to sit in house with them.
Right. And while you were with those companies learning too, I think you at one point you had mentioned to me that you were instrumental in helping them raise significant significant assets or amounts. Could you kind of revisit that, because I thought that was kind of fascinating and kind of tells exactly how you found success, and then that probably may have motivated you to say, okay, I can do something.
So in the third party marketing world, depending on the structure of the firm, we don't get paid unless we raise assets for our investment managers. And part of that, big piece of that, was the consultant database side of it. They can't gain visibility unless they're there and their profiles are really, really solid and complete. And those also lend themselves to the RFP and DDQs that can come as a result of being found in a database. And so, the managers that we worked with over the years that I was in institutional sales and marketing, we helped those firms raise about 15 to 20 billion in total by the time I had left that segment of the market. So I understood to the minute details how important consultant databases were in that process, and that's how we made our money. That's how we got paid.
Yeah, well, during as part of that, and again, that's kind of very high level very high level achievement to do that. I guess in that, was there a particular experience or strategy you took from that helped you start to look at building your own company? After you kind of realize here's the process, here's problem solution. But in that experience, was there something you took from there that said, okay, I'm going to apply beyond just the knowledge of here's problem solution? Was there something else in that experience that helped you, like a strategy or something that just kept you motivated and driven to build IMSS?
Yeah. When I started thinking about the way that managers were reporting their data, and they recognized that it's a very critical component, but they were doing it subpar, I realized that it's something that I had learned to do to the minute details. And I knew that it was a value add to managers to not only bring my experience, but my understanding of the databases, what that visibility meant to them in raising assets, and being able to consult with them on sort of where they belong for best, ROI and fit, because there are, over 50 databases out there, but there are databases that, some managers just aren't a fit for and some are. So part of what we do is not just really talk about the depth and the details of these databases and what those requirements are in terms of reporting and what they're missing, but it's just about finding that right fit for them too. A lot of managers, I think, felt or do feel, if they're reporting, some of their assets and they've got performance and whatnot, that's enough for them. But we always
Right.
have to say to them, screening starts here, and they start here, and you pop into a screen, and they deduce down, and you fall into that. But then you're missing that third level, and then you get kicked out. And so we do the nitty gritty of making sure these databases are 100%, so they have every opportunity to screen in.
Right, and some of that's also where it becomes more a little bit beyond the technology of the platform, and that's that I guess true for IMSS, the real differentiation of extension of staff or level of support, right?
Right. It's about experience, first of all, but it's also becoming an extension of the team. I understood that, I think my approach is a little bit different in that of my team, in that I know that if I don't create that minute detail of information for these managers, like I wasn't going to get paid in third party marketing, and that was my bread and butter, right? And
Right.
so I carried that forward to IMSS. I still operate the same way. I don't get paid the same way. I mean, it's not the same structure as where I was in
Sure.
third party marketing, but I still carried those lessons with me, and I understand how important it is. And so that's how we work here, in terms of our process is we want to do the best job for these clients we can and see them be successful.
Is that something you were seeing at the time with other service providers, with those companies, kind of, a packaged offering, and internally you were watching these processes and felt like, well, a little more support is probably needed to help these companies really get a hold of there, or did that come later?
So I don't know about other providers, but I know one of the things that we also do is when we start working with managers, we help them clean up their backside process, right? Because you can put out any data you want. You can funnel data to us, and that's great, but the data has to make sense. So we're not just taking data and pushing it out and assuming everything's okay. We have checks and balances. We look at everything when it comes in. We're extremely hands-on with our process because
Right.
we want to make sure what they have, is solid and it's complete and it makes sense. And oftentimes when we start working with managers, we have to work with them, a good deal of time to really clean up what they're doing. And sometimes, whether they're doing it in-house, coming from other providers, they don't have that same level of expertise when it comes to reporting, right? Every database is different in their requirements. And so our job is to clean it up on the backside so it's clean coming to us and dispersing out, correctly across all of the databases.
Right, and we've seen quite a bit of that as you've been
Right.
onboarding lately. So,
Yeah.
and I guess as we kind of look at your personal journey, I do, as I look at the industry, like many industries, I guess I want to ask, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, did you face any specific challenges, or actually were there's opportunities because of this?
We faced any challenges as a result of that. I think being a 100% women owned firm in the industry is great. I don't know of any competitors that are built like us right now. I can't even speak to that, but I don't think we faced any struggles. We've had a lot of great support. We have some great partners, and and people, you know, they've been amazing with us in terms of like a lot of our business comes through referrals, and that's through some great partners with, male dominated firms. So I don't know that it's had a real impact on us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was because I was curious if, if so, did that help shape kind of the culture as well as your understanding of the market, or because there was that support and people were open to it, it actually helped you kind of maybe accelerate IMSS a little bit faster into the market? It sounds
I
like
don't
it.
think yeah, I don't know. Most of our individuals that we deal with in the initial stage of conversations are either the CEO of firms or their head of marketing, institutional directors, and they are predominantly male. I don't feel like we've had any pushback. We have a high success rate of bringing clients on when they do come in and have a conversation with us. So I don't know that it's had much of an impact. I came in and just hit the ground running with this too. With my
Yeah.
personality, I was determined to succeed, and it's gone really well. I had clients immediately when I started the firm.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
And as you're talking about starting the firm, and with entrepreneurship comes risk, right? Um,
right.
what were those considerations? Was there any concerns, or what were the risks that you felt you were taking as you started the company at the time?
Of course, there's that financial risk that comes with it. And now here I am, independent, in charge of my own self, my own taxes, my own everything. But I'd had a very successful career. I felt extremely confident that I could build a really good, solid business based on my expertise and my time in the market. I had a lot of great relationships. And like I said, I had taken on a handful of clients like 3 months before I was actually going to launch. So I had already established a positive income flow before I even got rolling, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
And two of those were clients I'd already been working with, so they came back to me.
Oh, that says a lot there. I meant, so is that the same when you started to think about the technology itself, and kind of
That's
what that?
yes, that was a much bigger risk. So starting this firm, I was in a place where, I could, have my handful of clients and I would be okay. Like I said, I had a good career. I had sort of, I had done things, the right way when you plan financially for like your future and your retirement. And so going into founding this company didn't give me as much anxiety, but it took me, fast forward a couple of years, I started thinking about automating because I decided, okay, A, I'm still young. B, this segment of the market is really growing, and we can do so much more with this by adding our own technology to automate. There weren't very many options out there, a handful of solutions. We wanted to come in as this really cost effective provider to managers as an outsourced solution. And so I decided to, after many sleepless nights, build Data-Centrix, because building technology, as we know, is not inexpensive. And so I was putting a lot of eggs in one basket to build this technology over a year and a half, and
Right.
just being hopeful that it really was going to do what I wanted it to do. And it has. We've had a lot of success with it. And so I'm excited that I took that leap. I am a risk taker, but I always have plan A, B, and then that C plan. I have not even gotten there. I'm still, I think, in my plan A. So it's been good. The risk is definitely worth the reward. And I'm excited for what we've built and what we continue to build. And the company's growing, our team's growing, and our client base is growing. We've had a phenomenal second half of 2024.
Yeah, and the platform is very robust, and it's you continue to hold on to a very specific focus, very in terms of the processes that these companies go through, rather than try to build and expand. Um, was there any reason for that, or was it like this is really where where it's critical for these companies to you know
So
build
we
their
felt
pipeline?
like bringing managers on, we wanted to have a very streamlined process in how we do things, which also, you know, putting back on the managers what we needed to have them do on their side in terms of that data cleanup and sort of getting everything where it needs to be. So we do have like a step-by-step process in how we work with them. We want it to be very streamlined. The technology is very robust. It is very intuitive the way it's built. So the other value add to that is it really reduces the time on managers internally and how they have to report data to us. So we're saving them a lot of time. We're saving them on costs. And so there definitely is a process to how we work with them, but they appreciate that. We take as much of the burden off of them as we can. And, we make the process easy for them going forward, and it becomes very simplified.
Yeah, and the feedback from the market absolutely communicates that. So,
Yeah.
which is great to hear as we kind of move
Right.
forward. I guess before I ask if there's any other points, I guess, as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as someone who's taken a risk and in this industry, would you have any guidance or words of wisdom, if you will, for anyone starting their career in finance or considering entrepreneurship?
I This industry has so many opportunities. It's a very diverse industry. There's so many different things that you can do. So I
Right.
am a big fan of women wanting to come into finance. Again, it's predominantly male-led, but there's so many wonderful opportunities here. And for me, it just grabbed me. So it was that thing that I loved that was really going to drive me. And I think with anything that you're doing as an individual, you really have to find something that you enjoy and that you love and that you wake up every day, you look forward to going to work. I think it really comes, down to that. We hear these stories of people that, they dread getting up and going to work every day, and, they're doing something they don't enjoy. And so it really is, no matter what industry that you're in, finding what you love to do and finding what you're passionate about and that makes you happy. Hopefully you're making money while you're doing it, but
Right.
it is that, you're going to be enthusiastic every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Any other closing or parting words or thoughts as we kind of?
Um, I'm excited about, the success we've had. We bring a lot of value to our clients with our expertise, with our team, with the hands-on experience that we have ourselves, but the client service is unparalleled. Our clients love the fact that they can pick up the phone, they can send us an email, and they get a response. They can ask us a question, we can help them solve a problem. They enjoy that interaction with us. We truly become an extension of their team. And we've had some really long-standing relationships back to day one when I launched this. I have a client that I've worked with through three firms, a $35 billion client that's come with me through three firms. And the culture here is great. I came from an environment where I was left to sort of lead myself and not micromanaged and whatnot. And so that makes me want to produce even more. Like I always want to do a great job regardless, but I love that freedom to sort of mold myself into, kind of the role that I had, right? And that's the culture that we have here with people that work for me. As you know, it's
Yes.
I want people to run with what they're doing and enjoy it. And I'm fortunate that the team that we've built is amazing. Everybody is very independent. They're motivated, self-starting, and I
Absolutely.
think that that is like the backbones to the success of this company. And I'm really fortunate for the team I have. And I'm excited for 2025. We have some really, really exciting things that are coming. So can't wait
Absolutely.
to roll that out. Yeah, it's been a really good
Yeah.
run for us. And I'm really proud of what we've built. And I think we're going to have some really continued great success.